Welcome to Dear Business Coach, the podcast. My name's Elizabeth Walker, your producer and host, bringing you exclusive spotlights, interviews, articles, free resources. This is Dear Business Coach, the podcast. Listen, follow, and the email subscription is at dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. Also, access the free magazine each week. All it takes sometimes is one little thing to move your business forward today. Oh, look, it looks like we're live. It is 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. This is Monday. What's the date today? October 13th. Sometimes just going live on Monday is a good way to check myself. What week is it? What day is it? My name's Elizabeth Walker, and I'm the producer and host of the Dear Business Coach podcast, bringing you episodes each week. And today is a special preview because this live that you're listening to right now is going to be released on Wednesday. So this is an exclusive live right now, and email subscribers, you got a notice in your email box yesterday. All right. So in your email box, what we did this week was I actually moved the live invitation to the top of the email. So when you open your email, it says the subject line that I sent you of the email I sent you says live on Substack. So we're going live on Substack and LinkedIn alternatively. So this week I'm on Substack. Alrighty, let's get situated here. Got my handy dandy phone tripod. Now, this is audio only. So, yes, you can see my profile picture. And yes, you can see some audio graphics there indicating sound. I'm actually plugging in an external microphone. So, I thought maybe I would talk directly to you. What's happening? I'm in my office right now. And there we go, switching over to the mic. I'm in my office right now, and this is what I do on Monday mornings to get to talk to you about behind the scenes details, what's coming up. Did you miss anything? Maybe you missed something last week. I want to make sure you know about. But also this title and also this title, this live today was also called Coffee and Comedy. So I have producer's notes for you and also an exciting notice about stand-up comedy sometime, possibly in the fall. I'm going to do some stand-up. I have that work in the works. And yes, I am nervous. Am I a comedian? No. Have I ever been on a stage doing comedy before? No, I have not. And also, let me tell you, it's not a special. It's not a stand-up special. I'm not doing a full hour. But I want to keep you in the loop because if you will be in New York City and you're interested in coming out to see some comedy, you can catch me on stage. So I want to make sure you know about that so I can be sure to get you in the loop. Hey, listeners, don't forget to subscribe to email if you haven't already. Do this at dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. And if you are a new subscriber, look for the magazine coming up. You can get a free download as a new subscriber. That's dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. Thanks so much, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Remember, you are a superstar. This is the kind of thing that can be overlooked, and I'm practicing at giving you all of these details. Where can you find the inside scoop? I remember one time, maybe last year or so, I was following a business coach, a media specialist, somebody I was um, literally following. I was looking at all of her stuff on every social platform I could find. I was obsessed with her for a little while. And I did have a coaching session with her and I did go to a couple of her workshops. And then she said she was going to be doing some stand-up comedy. And I thought, well, that's funny, that's interesting, and how bizarre and how why? What's the deal with that? And so I think she, similarly to me, decided, I don't know if she had like a date scheduled or what the project was, but she kept telling people she was going to be going to do stand-up comedy somewhere. And, I'm familiar with New York City a little bit. I lived there for a year when I was in school. I went to school there for a year. In college, I was there for my sophomore year of college. And what I was doing was following, I'll go ahead and say her name, Beth Nidick. I have promoted her a couple times on this show, on the Dear Business Coach podcast. And Beth, the reason why I'm saying her name out loud, calling you out loud, is because I never got to see or hear more about the stand-up. I'm subscribed to your email newsletter, Beth. So that was a long time ago, but I'm curious. She said she was going to report to us what happened, and I bet there's a video somewhere. So even though I was following her social religiously, it felt like I don't know if she ever published that or what happened. So we will see when I go up on stage how I'm able to share that with you. Okay. Now, the next thing is I will actually tell you a little bit about some of the comedy that I'm working on, some of the bits that I'm working on. So that might be part of what we're doing with producers notes here for a while. Is this is a really casual space to talk to you. So I want to see if there's a way that I can actually use this space here on the live during the live opportunities to practice a joke or two, or a story rather, because these are actually some of the trials and tribulations of the comedy writer. I'm finding is I that's why I'm doing this. I want to learn what comedy writing is about. I want to learn what it means for me, because that's kind of part of the most intriguing thing about comedy writing is I'm sure there are 1,000 ways to do it, just like everything else. That's my new phrase of the week is 1,000 ways. There's 1,000 ways to do anything. And the journey that I'm going through with my comedy teacher is really something else. How can I put this to words and put this down on paper? How can I and then how can I share this experience with you? And I feel that that's part of my job. And that's part of why, I mean, by chosen, right? This is something I do as a job because this is exciting, and this is a chosen profession. I have started the podcast. I'm the show creator, and there are other projects in the works that, because of the podcast, I get to bring all of these fun stories to you and involve you in the experience. Okay, let's take a sip of coffee. So, one of the things that I learned from some of my favorite live speakers, specifically Mimi Langley. Mimi Langley. I haven't talked to her in a long time. She's also somebody I've purchased one of her coaching sessions as well. She used to have a video that you could buy, a little 1 hour course, if you will, that you could buy, and then she would also give you a 1 hour coaching, and I thought that was really excellent. So really liked that package deal. Basically, I haven't seen her advertising any of her live workshops. I know she had a baby not too long ago. That baby's probably a few months old now. But Mimi, if you are listening to me, I would love to see some of your live work coming back online. So what made me think of Mimi? It was that sip of coffee I took. When I'm doing a live audio like this, I know that sometimes it's good to take a little break, and it gives you the opportunity, if you're the one who ends up speaking, if you ever do a live like this, where it's okay to take a break. It actually is better for the listening experience. Okay, so let's see. Switching back over to my phone here. All right. Basically, what we want to go over first is the magazine, because I haven't gotten to talk to you guys about that at length, really. All right, hold on 1 minute here. All right. So with the magazine, what we're doing is updating the format, not the way it looks. I like the way the magazine looks. I think the layout's really nice. When you go to dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com/magazine, you can see the cover of the image there if you're not already an email subscriber. You can look at the cover, get a feel for some of the guests. And if you're a follower of the show, of course you can you'll be able to recognize some of the titles and the faces and the names. However, the way the magazine works is it's not it's there are 6 articles that are not titled, so they're not titled by the episode, for example. So the way the magazine works is it used to be twice a quarter, and so there are approximately 6 articles in each issue, and I was releasing the magazine two times a quarter. And now my new goal is actually to add a new article to the magazine each week, and that means that each week the article the oldest article will drop off. So this is a little bit different. I'm figuring out how to advertise that to you. So I guess maybe what I'll have to do is I'll have to actually maybe reformat it a little bit so that you recognize the change in the design. I haven't done anything different to the cover of the magazine, and so maybe while I'm talking to you now, I'm thinking that might be the next design change so that "Oh, okay, something's new, something's different." I really like the way the magazine looks now, and so I don't really wanna make any changes to the cover. However, I need you to know that it is different now because it's actually a living document. All right, one more pause, take a sip of coffee here. Yeah, so what is a living document? Well, I am making my own definition up here a little bit. A living document is, well, for me, in this case, it means it's a live file that can be edited at any time. And while it is an editable document, you can view it. Now, this is something a lot of us are already familiar with as far as sharing documents at work, right? So if I send you a Word document that's viewable and shareable, I share it with you, give you permission to access it, or I can make a setting on the document so that anybody who has the link can view it, or I can restrict it to only certain people. That's how the magazine works. It's a living document, and I've done this a couple of different ways, actually. So if you are not interested in magazine publishing and formatting and stuff like that, well, then maybe uh, go take a break for a second while I talk for the next 2 or 3 minutes. This is part of the production, right? We want to share the design process. I want to share the design process with you. And that's interesting to me. Maybe it's also part of my reflection process. So, it's funny is I also use these live sessions to listen back and see, did I actually say what I meant to say? Did I get the point across? And maybe I'll never know unless I get feedback from you. I can do my best to talk to you about some of these things that you won't know unless I tell you directly like this in private or in a situation where I make this a live segment for you like we're doing right now. So basically, there's two different ways that the magazine is being published right now. You have the live link that I was just describing to you, and there's I'm sure there's a bunch of different magazine or document formats that you can borrow and use. So you can make your own magazine format, you can make your own document and put it in like a Google link and share it. I assume you know how to do that. Actually, to be honest with you, when I was in a cubicle in a previous life, working day in, day out in a cubicle, I was talking to people on the phone all day long. So sharing documents was not really something I had to do in my daily task. If you know, if you're somebody also like me who my job is to talk to people more than it is to share documents. So maybe this is something that's not familiar for you. So um, that's good. That's part of why we come here and get together to talk about things like this. Okay, so basically, there's two ways that the magazine is viewable, and I'm trying to decide which one I like better. But I think for now, I've decided. So I will go ahead and tell you some of the tools that I'm using. I don't see any risk in that. Maybe even advertising some of the tools that I'm using will be helpful for you. So the magazine document is actually on a Canva link right now. So you might recognize that if you go to your subscriber email and visit the magazine, which by the way you do that is I give you a VIP page to view the magazine on. So if you view the magazine, then you have cover to cover access with the articles, and it's a viewable live document. So if you're an email subscriber, you can visit the VIP page and access the magazine. And then next week, there will be a new article there. So this is what I mean. You can view the same magazine, use the same password, it's the same link, but I'm going to add more detail this week. So the magazine will change. It'll be different. You can access the same link, the same website, same paid VIP page on Dear Business Coach podcast. However, there will be new content there each week. So, what's on the show this week? The show this week, who is streaming right now, is John Little. His handle on LinkedIn, very fun, is Big John Little. And I told him a story during our interview because he said, I don't actually know how tall he is, but in the interview, when you see him on camera, I imagine he's pretty tall when he stands up. He has that look about him. And John Little, so that's maybe that's maybe part of why he picked his LinkedIn handle, Big John Little. It's cute, it's catchy. I have a cousin. His name's Larry. He lives in Pennsylvania, and he is very tall. I don't remember how tall he is. I haven't seen him in a long time, but for my family, I mean, he's like 6'5" or something. Maybe I'm exaggerating by an inch or so, but he's a big guy. Um, and we always call him Little Larry because his dad's name is Larry. However, Little Larry is, I think, taller than his dad and definitely the tallest person in our family by far. So that made me giggle. So if you listen to the episode, you can hear that story. All right, it's 8:49 a.m. So let's get into some comedy discussion. So this is really, I'm nervous to share this with you because I'm not sure. I don't see if might be taking a huge risk here. There's a possibility, switching back to my microphone again, there's a possibility that this isn't going to go well for me right now. But that's kind of the whole point. I want to see if I can get if I can share a funny story with you and make it work. And then I can actually publish it. That's also part of this producer's notes and live audio with Elizabeth, has to do with how getting on the microphone and talking to you directly like this. I know I'm live. I know that you can listen to me right now as I'm broadcasting, and it does make a difference. I do think differently about how I'm speaking, and I do approach the microphone a little bit differently. And this is something I want better practice at. So one of the things that my comedy teacher is trying to get me to do, meaning I'm learning the process, and it's not second nature. It's not, believe it or not, this is really this is really difficult for me, because I just have never done this before. If you know anything about my workshops, you know that I hosted two workshops, one earlier this year in April and one last year in October at the Jefferson Center in Roanoke, Virginia. This was a workshop that I advertised, and some of you got special invites. And that does happen from time to time. So you never know when you get a special invite to an event like that that's live. And keep up to date with your email if you're interested in things like this. The Dear Business Coach podcast email list is actually once a week, and what I do is I slip these announcements into that email. So if you're an email subscriber, you're the one who's going to know. That's how you're going to know about these events. All right. So one of the things I'm working on is what's the overarching theme? If I were to put together a comedy set, if I were to put together a stand-up set, very short, very short. We're talking about going to a comedy club where you see several stand-up comedy sets in one sitting, and they're all fairly short. Some are longer than others. Some comedy clubs will have nights where it is strictly amateurs, and sometimes you'll go to a comedy club and you'll have a traditional lineup where comics have signed up for their spots and been selected for their spots, and then every once in a while you'll have maybe a guest that comes up on stage. So the structure of how the lineup works can change. So in this instance, let's say I want to share a few minutes with you. I have to put together some stories really in a little bit of a theme, right? I can't just stand up on stage and tell you silly jokes back to back and hope it all makes sense. But I mean, that's where I am now as a performer. That's exactly what I wish I could do, because that sounds a lot easier and sounds like maybe less personal, right? It's a lot of personal sharing to tell a funny story. So one of the things I'm working on as a theme is being a mom. And also, listen up, people, this is part of the comedy writing process, is figuring out what do you want to talk about? So what's the overlap for me anyway between what I want to express? It's kind of a release. I'm kind of dealing with emotions and thoughts that are real time for me right now in my real life every day. So it's 8:54 a.m. I better hurry up and make sure I get everything out that I want to share with you today. This live audio happens every Monday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and you can get the invites and links in your email. If you're a subscriber, go to if you're an email subscriber. If you're not, go to dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com. And you can click on any of the subscribe links. You can also go straight to dearbusinesscoachpodcast.com/subscribe. Alrighty. So being a mom, now what I want to share here is, what is it that is what are some of the things that I want to share with my daughter that would be a way to personalize a lesson. And one I thought about movies. Comedy in movies are a great way. Well, I prefer to share these kinds of material with my kid because I do find a lot of value in watching my kid react to what are the jokes that the movie or the stand up or the show is trying to communicate? What are the lessons? What are the values? What are the warnings? What are these things that entertainment can provide inherently some value through? And so what I think about when I'm sitting with my kid and we're watching a stand up or a show, I am paying attention to what she's laughing at, what she's not laughing at. I'm paying attention to what what comedians does she suggest to me? What comedians is she watching? Who are the people that she's aware of on her own without my influence? So I often like to ask what kind of, do you want to put on a show? What kind is there a comedian that you've seen recently? Who is there somebody that has a stand up right now that you'd like to that we could watch? I mean, I guess that's a brave thing to do. I don't know. There's lots of things that I am shy about sharing with my kid. But one of the things that my mom did with me, I guess, is, we watched comedy. We watched a lot of funny movies together. So my favorite movie, here's part of the bit. This is what I'm working on. I want to find a way to tell my daughter a story about sex. So this is actually part of how comedy is useful for me too, to talk about sensitive subjects, or at least subjects that are important and sensitive. So sex, right? When you have a child at some point, you probably will want to talk to them about your opinions and thoughts, and hopefully share some kind of lessons or values around these important things in life, like sex. And at some point, your child becomes a teenager, and at some point, your teenager becomes a young adult. And that young adult will have relationships and think and wonder and have concerns or questions about sex, right? So, I want to tell you one of my favorite movies. I think, there's a lot of things about me as a mom that are not perfect and things I wish I could change. And many days I wish I were a completely different person altogether. Sometimes I wish I were not me. I think sometimes I wish, man, I would have all the answers and do things a lot differently and a lot better if I were somebody else altogether. And so having these insecurities, how do I talk to my kid about sex? Well, I'll tell you what are some movies that are actually maybe depictions of relationships that I find in a joking way I can point to. So I want to tell you, does anybody remember the Coneheads? Does anybody remember the Coneheads that had I'm sorry, Chris Farley and um, Dan Aykroyd, Jane Curtin. Thank goodness I can remember her name, Jane Curtin. Oh my goodness, what a star lineup. And there's a few other really great actors in there too. Now these are Sinbad's in there. This is the family lineup, and there's a girl who plays the teenager. Let's see if should have had her name here. Girl teenager in the Coneheads. So, do you remember the episode? Let's see, who is the teenage girl? Michelle Burke is played Connie Conehead. Dan Aykroyd, Michelle Burke, Jane Curtin. Oh, Adam Sandler was in that movie. Okay, David Spade, Chris Farley. So, what happens? The Coneheads move into Earth. They get stuck on Earth, and while the Coneheads are stuck on Earth, they have a baby. And this baby grows up to be a teenager, and she's in high school, and she's starting to be interested in tattoos. She's wearing short shorts and jewelry, and she might have a piercing or two, and wearing her crop tops. And I guess this is a thing that we see in movies all the time. And she's getting ready to leave the house, and her dad says, "What are you wearing? What is that tattoo? When did this happen?" So things are changing in teenage girl Conehead's world. And she starts going on a couple dates with this guy she meets, and he's a mechanic. And she doesn't know. I mean, she's a Conehead, right? So she's grown up in the United States as an alien, but she's still a Conehead. So she has her own interests and preferences, and she decides to date this mechanic guy. And they are out in the car one night together privately. And the boyfriend wants to start kissing, and she says, "No, no, no, I don't want to do this right now." And then later, Connie Conehead, a teenager, invites her boyfriend over to her house, and they sit down in the living room, and she says something to the effect of, "I'm going to share I want to share this with you. I'm ready to share this moment with you." And so I guess as a mom, the one thing that I know I might have as a redeeming quality is that's my favorite sex scene. My favorite sex scene in all of television and movies is has got to be in the Coneheads. Now, here's the kicker. I don't know if I like the sex scene better between the parents or the teenagers. And, if you haven't seen the movie, you might need to go back and watch it, but, how beautiful. So, as a mom, here's my lesson to you, kiddo, as far as what is sex? How is this experience between 2 people meant to be? Well, I think maybe the sex scenes in the Coneheads is a good place to start, and you know what? It's actually the woman in both scenes who instigates and who decides when and where and with who. So this is actually part of the story I want to share on stage. I'm working on a bit about the Coneheads. What do you think? Do you like to share funny movies or sensitive subjects with your children, with your child through entertainment? What's a sensitive subject that's talked about in a comedy movie that maybe helps you broach sensitive subjects with people in your life? Okay, so I think I've gone over. It's 9:03 a.m. So yeah, this was actually a little bit longer than usual. And I hope that you got some value out of this today. So basically, don't forget to sign up for email. Watch out for notices about my stories about talking to my kid about sex and joining the comedians of New York City on their stages. All right, my name is Elizabeth Walker, producer and host of the Dear Business Coach podcast. You are a superstar. You've been listening to the Dear Business Coach podcast. My name's Elizabeth Walker, producer and host. Don't forget to subscribe to email. Thank you so much for being here, and find one thing today to move your business forward. Contact me at dearbusinesscoachpodcast@gmail.com. And as always, you are a superstar. So we are partnered. The Dear Business Coach podcast is now officially partnered with NordVPN. And you know what? Look out for the logo, some press releases, cool information. What in the heck is a VPN and how does it work? I'm really excited. I travel and now I know how to get the VPN security I need. So Nord is now officially our affiliate partner. Look out for ways to support the show by going to the affiliate link I provide to you in your email and other places you can see it on the website. Thanks so much, NordVPN.